Okay, are you looking at pruning conifers, false cypress, hemlock, larch?
Yep, that's what we can see.
Okay, so this false cypress, Sue said, I don't want it to get any much bigger than that. And I said, well, not only can we prune it, but it's developing multiple tops, and we should probably shape it up a little bit. So we brought a bunch of people from our zoo and Waterford Library volunteer group, and I'm lecturing at them from the ladder. We're going to take the leader out first to cut it back. And then we're looking to remove the multiple leaders, the extra branches that were coming up alongside it, making it a multi-topped rather than a pyramidal plant. That's Susan's own shrub. So I'm reaching up, and in the brown that you see are the old needles that are falling, dying, and they tend to build up in this plant if it's dense. Mm-hmm. And after I've got a new leader, now I'm grabbing those branches. So I've got one that's a competing branch that's in my hand. I'm pulling it away from the top. It was trying to be a tip on its own. I'm pulling it away. And what it is a separate cane, a separate trunk, just like the arborvitae. These false cypresses are pinched when they're little to make them look bushy, and that ruins their shape later on. So I'm going to take that branch back quite a ways to make sure it doesn't compete. And there were two of those. So I'm taking those back. And then I work my way down the plant, shortening the branches, and that's done.
That's it.
I took that much off of it. It's a hard cut, but every branch that's left has green still on it. And then we went looking for other victims.
Hemlock.
Yeah. So that, the sweeping hemlock is getting out of control. It's getting too big. She said, I like it to weep, but not too big. I've told you, go underneath things this time of year. Take a look. Oh, and here's the snowshoe time. There were, I think, 3 of us on snowshoes that day. When you look underneath, then you can tell what the branching is. You can tell which branch has become dominant there. The right-hand fork is thicker, growing out further. That's the branch that you want to shorten and either keep it as a leader or make a new leader. And I can cut anywhere on that branch. Hemlock keeps its needles for many years.
Many years.
Anywhere on that branch.
There's green. Where
there's still green. Hemlock is a great hedge. It doesn't fall into the PJFACS group technically because it has green on the branches for so long. So I can cut back to any side branch that's green. So when we're done, the hemlock has a few years to grow again. The light was a little tricky there, but we've taken all the droop and moved it back, and taken some of the skirt and moved it back so that it doesn't look like a, look like a Star Wars walker kind of thing. And here it is now, because the pictures that you're seeing with the snowshoe pruning, we did that in 2015. Susan says, I prune it every year. I don't prune it as aggressively as you do, so you can see some brown in it. And you can see that it is creeping. These things do creep if you don't sit on them hard. And you can cut any of the conifers. Larch isn't in the, I don't know, PJFACS. Larch is a conifer that's deciduous. And I have learned that it doesn't fit into the PJFACS group. This one was getting into the wires, and the power company was going to cut it. Our client said, oh, they're going to cut my beautiful larch. I said, well, let's see if we can cut it. You may be able to see at the top that there's a slanted cut in the trunk. Right there. I cut about a 6-inch trunk and took it out of there, and then shortened all the side branches. This is, I don't have it during the growing season. This is all the branching that happened after I cut back the main branches a long way in order to make it a smaller tree. You can do almost anything with almost anything if you just learn to respect those rules. Okay, so now we'll, okay, so now we're probably okay.
Yeah, we're a little over time. We have just 2 follow-up questions, if that's possible.
Sure, let's go for it.
All right, so Judith is saying, actually, sorry, let me stick with Susan about pruning. Any general advice for pruning an old-fashioned blue and pink hydrangea?
Old-fashioned blue and pink hydrangea. Well, I only know of one fashion of blue and pink hydrangea, and it's the blue and pink hydrangeas. They're ball-type flowers that go either toward blue or toward pink, and they have to be thinned, but don't take out all of the branches, because if you take out all of the tips, you were not going to have any bloom. So we thin and we thin and take out, take out
just there.
You want to go to the base, that one right there. Look at that.
Oh,
Okay. And full screen.
sure.
There we go.
Okay.
We take out the old wood on a blue and pink hydrangea, either now or after it blooms, but at some point go into the bottom of the plant, find the oldest canes, clip them at ground level and take them out. And then we'll shorten new ones that are coming up that are too spindly. We'll shorten them in order to get them to beef up a little bit. If you can let them grow, then you don't have to prune them at all. They'll get to be 4 or 5 feet tall and bloom. But for us in Michigan, they don't grow well for us. It's too dry and cold in the wintertime, and the tip bud gets killed. And once that tip bud gets killed, you're stuck. Now you're going to get a leafy plant, but not something able to bloom. I can't, we do have a whole webinar on hydrangeas.
Yeah.
And there is a note-taking guide from that webinar that has the webinars, the hydrangeas described. And there are articles on our website that show step-by-step the pictures of the old branches coming out, what the tip bud looks like when it's dead, when it's alive. If you look up hydrangea or blue hydrangea, you're going to find those.
Yep, and I will drop the hardy hydrangeas was webinar number 20. Webinar number 20. Which is amazing. Yeah. And then just one more follow-up from Judith. Last year, someone advised me to use seasoned bark mulch as an alternative to peat in my potting soil. It wasn't finely ground, but plants did grow. I'm not sure how optimally. Was it really acceptable?
Yes, it is acceptable. And ground bark has been used a lot in potting mixes. The finer that you grind it, the more that you need something like maybe a perlite to help hold some space in it. But that's just exactly what the soil conditioner is it's finely ground. And some growers, especially on things like some of the conifers, they'll use larger chunk pine bark or fir bark as a medium to grow in. And we certainly have a lot of that in states that have lumbering industries.
All right, well, I think that runs through the questions, and I can hear the dogs saying that it is time to finish. So we'll call it a day. Okay,
so we're going to sign off then with our purple dog. I'd forgotten all about the purple dog. And say that's all for all our gardens this week. And we're glad that you can join us. We hope you'll join us again next week.
Yep.
It'll be another round of right now gardening information. Who knows what's happening between now and then? But you can see from pictures of March's past there in pruning 7 years ago. There were snowshoes out then. We're not behind the season. We're not upset about anything. We are waiting for all that energy that flew out into the cosmos to come back into the earth, as the ancients used to believe. And we want to be standing out there in line with it so that we get energized too.
Yep.
Have a great week.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.